Another important source of data for many businesses is stuff related to their web. So if you have a website, you want to know where's your traffic coming from, how many people are buying, what pages are most important to them, where are people leaving your site. There's a lot of productive and interesting things you can get out of that type of information. Um, Also, if you're selling products, you want to analyze your web sales. Uh, and then previously I've talked about how in social media you might want to use text mining to understand some of the stuff that's there. There's a lot of software available to you for analyzing web data. So some important types of information you want to know are, how many people are visiting on any given day. And so on the left-hand side here, you can see some trends. Keywords, another important thing that people managing websites want to know about. Down here you can see some, like Peru was associated with 987 visits to a given site. I'm going to go jump over into some of my accounts and walk you through some of the stuff that's there. Alright, right now I'm on a website. I just went to google.com/analytics, and I have a number of accounts set up there. One website that I have is called inspiredrunner.com. And it's showing me right now that I've had 726 visits between September 13th and October 13th. Now, some other things I can see is that the average session time is 19 seconds, and goal conversion rate is 0. What I could set up is tracking pixels on these pages such that if my goal was to get people from a landing page all the way to a sales page, I could see what percentage of people were getting through to that page, for example. Now, it's interesting that I got 726 visits, because if I were to go to this website, I bought this domain and put some text on there uh, many years ago, probably 6 or 7 years, and I'd done some keyword searches, and I found out that people were searching for running quotes quite a bit. Now, I used to have ads scattered on these pages, and I don't have those on there right now. But anyway, so here's my website, and let's go find out some things about it. So I can see that over the last month there have been some ups and downs, and on any given day I got almost 50 clicks one day, which kind of seems like a lot since I abandoned this site virtually like 6-7 years ago. So why are people still coming here? Well, it says that most people are brand new visitors. All right, where are they coming from? On this default page, I see that most of people are speaking English, although this next one down here says English Great Britain, and maybe there's a couple people from Spain, probably Germany, France, some other places. All right, so basic information. Now I wonder, now right here it says it can tell me more about the people that have been visiting my site, like what operating system have people been using to visit my site. Okay, it looks like 37% are Windows, 29% were iOS. Well, that's kind of interesting. Almost 30% of the people visiting my site are using iOS, which didn't even exist back when I created this website. Macs, 17%, Androids, 15%. So, had a lot of Windows visits apparently um, in recent times. But between the 29 for iOS and 15 for Android, I've got almost 50% of my traffic coming from what appears to be a mobile device. Um, if if I just jump down into mobile traffic, I can see that most of my mobile traffic visits were from an iOS, which is the iPad and iPhone devices. Another thing that's interesting, I can see the screen size of people visiting my site. So I can see that most people had 320 by 480, which is relatively small. Um, Although there are some with bigger screen sizes, which is more associated with a Windows monitor. So how would this help me with decision making? Well, this is just some data that's now summarized that Analytics, a Google tool, is giving me about my website. I installed a tracking pixel on every page in this website, and so they're giving me this information. And so knowing this, what I could do is say, wow, sometimes websites don't look very good on small screens, and I never intended for this to be viewed on a small screen. I don't know if it looks good or not. So I might look at that and say, huh, maybe I should do something different. Maybe make some smaller mobile pages, things that are optimized for that. So, another thing I'm noticing is that, 97% of my people are new visitors, meaning that people really don't like my site. They come there, they come once, and then they never come back again. Which kind of raises the question, where are people coming from and why that are coming to this website? Well, analytics is going to help me determine that. So I clicked on a link called acquisition. I see the arrows, which kind of tells me that it's telling me where the uh, traffic's coming from. And as I look over on the left-hand side here, I see acquisition and behavior. So where are people coming from? It says social. So of my 726 visitors, 643 of them came from a social website. What? Organic search. This means like a search engine. So 29 of my 726 visitors came from a search engine. Well, that's kind of interesting. It means that, I could try to optimize for Google all day long, but apparently, getting a link in the right social website just beats the pants off of getting my site ranked high in Google, at least for what I've been doing here. And then behavior. I could have potentially seen, are people coming from different places getting like being on my site for different amounts of time. Maybe some of my asks the question. This kind of relates to the question of is the quality of my traffic different? Is my social traffic better than my Google traffic versus direct traffic is people that have been there before? Referral traffic is links from other sites. So if I click on social, so out of my 600 and some 43 visits, I see that 100% of that social traffic was from StumbleUpon. So that website sent me most of my traffic, and I don't ever even go there, so I don't know much about it. But I'm sure it'll show me which page within StumbleUpon it's coming from. Direct, oops, not direct, I don't want to look at direct. I want to look at organic search. So for organic search, I can see what are the keywords that people are using to find my site, and I see, oh, running with friends, or running with friends quotes, people were typing that into search engines, best friends, running quotes, and on and on. So these are the search queries people typed in, which is, again, revealing to me, going, oh, maybe I could put more content on my site related to these items if I wanted to optimize for it. Maybe I could get even higher in the search engines if I had more content. And one of the ways that keyword searches work is that if you have a long set of keywords that are relatively unique when put together, you can put together those sets of keywords on your site with a little bit greater frequency to try to look like you're the authority for that set of keywords, and then you can rank higher in the search engines for that. Although another thing that would be good is if you had links coming to your site that had all of these words in there, so that way when Google crawls the web, it'll say, hey, I think there's this website out there that has these keywords associated with it. All right, so here's another thing. I clicked on the behavior tab, and it shows me of the pages that were viewed that 791 of them was to a particular page running quotes. 12 were to the home page, 2 were to a recipe page, and 2 was to a training page. So out of my whole website, it's very clear that the world's telling me there's some value to my running quotes page, but there's not very much value to the other things that I've done. And so perhaps I could, create a running quotes calendar or an app, or maybe I could sell something related to this, or augment this, or create a quote of the day app that would send them information that they could install. So who knows, but I could use this type of information to help me make decisions about modifying and running my business going forward if I were going to be um, building on my site. Now, also notice that on these running quotes pages that the average time on the page is 2 minutes 41 seconds. So generally people are on my site for just a couple seconds and then they're gone, but they're putting in a lot of time looking at that page. So again, things I could use to my advantage if I was trying to monetize or make money with my website. All right, let's see if I can speed on through and perhaps finish in under 15 minutes for this particular video. So another thing that you can use as part of business intelligence is to aggregate your data and create dashboards. So executive dashboards are things that have become very popular lately. So you know in your car that if you're, the little gauges say that you're out of gas, that it's time to do something. So sometimes it can, be something, an indication of warning. And so in a lot of different pieces of software that are out there, particularly for mid-level managers, as I've seen in recent years too, you can monitor all kinds of information about your organization. So, for example, and put it into a dashboard. For example, if you have salespeople and you want to know how well they're doing, and if they're hitting a certain threshold, you can consolidate everybody in a given category and get numbers on that. In drive-throughs at restaurants, things like that, you can have board or even customer service places where I've worked at. You can put all of your data in there, like such as feed up what's the average time per call, and if there are problems, it'll indicate it in the dashboards. And so a key performance indicator would be something like how long it takes somebody to get through the drive-through. And so you just watch for those things and view them in your dashboard and intervene if needed. And this allows people, in my case, what I've seen is people working in customer service, they can sit there and talk to their girlfriend or their wife on the phone and goof off, and then as a manager, and then when the screen turns red in somewhere, that means, oh, there's a problem. So now he's going to get off the phone or get off at Facebook and go out there and intervene. And really, he's running his business well because everything's going good up until the point where he needs to intervene, and then he gets things back on track. Another tool that's used in organizations, especially large ones, is this idea of the portal. Now here at UCO we use UConnect, and UConnect is actually a type of portal where you log into something and you get a variety of types of information on one screen. And before apps became so prolific like they are now, it used to be that if people wanted to track their favorite sports teams and stock quotes and things like that, weather, movie listings, they would get like something called a Google homepage. And so everybody would customize their own data needs to themselves. And businesses saw this and they jumped on the bandwagon and said, hey, if we can do that for personal use, why don't we do it for business use? And so a lot of companies bought you might call them intranets, but really they were enterprise portals, which gave you little snippets of information related to things that you as an individual customized to your needs. So maybe you wanted to get competitive intelligence about somebody, stock quotes, so whoever you were in the organization, you might be tracking different things. If you're a sales guy, you might have a widget, you would call it, on your screen, which tracks different things related to that. If you might have another widget that shows the stock quotes for the company. You might have another widget for human resources. So for a while, this was, kind of a hot item. I don't know if all of us have an intranet these days, so we kind of still use these type of things, but I don't know that a real portal with customizable widgets is as popular as it once was. Surprisingly, mashups are something that people haven't really heard of these days, even though for a couple of years when the whole Web 2.0 thing emerged with all your Facebooks and Twitters, this was also an associated term. Because there's so much data out there on the web and a lot of it is published for free, you can actually combine things together to create new businesses. So for example, you have Zillow, I believe is the real estate website. They might have to pay for some of their data, but really what they've done is they've aggregated data from a bunch of different sources. You could use, Google Maps with realtor data, with foreclosure data, with income data. You can combine all kinds of things to create an overlaid map and create a service. So imagine if you had Google like a Google Maps application, and you also had a feed from a public transportation unit like buses. And if you put those two things together on your website, you could take two free pieces of data and create a website that you could put ads on, maybe on behalf of local restaurants, and have a profitable business venture. So there used to be things like Yahoo Pipes, which is no longer as popular as it was, but and you would be able to combine different data feeds together to create what we would call a mashup. Now we do mashups with music, I guess, where we combine music with our own thoughts and words and video. But at least in this context, we're talking about data feeds that you can put together and potentially sell the result of that if you are pretty sharp. Although these days it's so common that they've probably figured out a lot of the good